We're in for a wild night.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 184 of Born to be Wild, a wild and wild adjacent Hearthstone podcast where we have fun, hanging out with friends, talking about the wild and wild adjacent formats of Hearthstone, and spotlighting members of the wild community. I'm your host, Sheep. It's great to be back this beautiful Sunday morning, New Year's Eve, right here from the Colorado area. I'm in Colorado. It's not just the area. I'm joined here today by your favorite person and mine, Hydralisk. Hydra, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's nice to be back after a little bit of a break. It's nice to see you. It's nice to see that you still have the beard. I always appreciate that. But yeah, I'm doing great coming at you from the greater Vancouver area, and I've been enjoying some Hearthstone. So let's talk about some Hearthstone. I played a little bit of duels actually, which is funner than I remember. I know that Shmoopy Daddy talks about it quite a bit, right? And sometimes he'll message me and poke me and try to get me to play the mode. And I'll entertain it, but I never really get into it. But I was getting a little bored, and I didn't feel like playing ladder towards the end of the month, so I hopped in and did 3 full runs. I didn't do amazing, but I grabbed lists from him. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's like a dragon druid that's completely broken in duels.
It's really good.
I experienced that. I tried a blood DK, which was also ridiculously good. It just has like all of the removal that you could ever imagine, and you can keep generating more removal the entire time. So no matter, like, against the dragon druids, they kept filling their board and I kept destroying their board. But the mirrors for those are not very fun because you're just removing each other's stuff. And then
I never die either. Cool. All right.
We're both gaining more life as well. I guess it's going to fatigue. Yeah, so that was fun. And the other one was I played a Taunt Warrior, which was cool because it's like a hand buff thing, but it's just too slow, in my opinion. I'm not the expert, but it's when I'm dropping like 1 or 2 big things, Druid's filling their entire board every turn.
Right.
So it was a no-go for me. But yeah, so I had some fun doing that. Sheep, you played a little Hearthstone, yeah?
I played a little bit of Hearthstone. So the last time we talked, I hadn't yet hit Legend, but was like, I'm not too worried about it. I was right not to be worried about it. Since last we talked, I hit Legend in Wild with aggro Druid, my old Embiggen affinity.
Very nice.
And Standard with Treant Druid because, like, I got on that train a little earlier than a lot of people, and now it's, like, everywhere, and people are getting tired of it. And I have since switched to Twist because, we were like, oh, why are you closing it? And then they extended it another month. And so I was like, well, if they extended it another month, I want to play it. Like, I want to show that was a good thing. And I ended up going from D7 to Legend in Twist in 1 day with the same list that I played 2 months ago. That hand buff paladin. So when you said hand buff, I'm like, oh, I've been playing some of that, just a different class.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and then I even climbed from there. Like, I entered at like 70-something, 80-something, and have climbed up to be like sub 50, down like below 50, up above, like just having fun playing it. I think I forgot, because it's the same mode as last month, just how much I really liked it. Mm. And then I played again and was like, oh, right, yeah, this is still my favorite mode.
Well, that's exciting. And so we know that's down for next month, correct?
Yeah, it's down in January, but should be back in February, hopefully with some revamps. One of the things I noticed whenever I was climbing was that the Rooney location that like plays random secrets it has like Oh My Yogg in it now, which is not in the card pool. So my, tinfoil hat theory is that Oh My Yogg is going to be in the subsequent card pool. So that's, I don't have anything except for that particular interaction to like give me that idea. But like now I have that idea and I think that's what's going to happen. So we'll see in February or later January when they announce it. And I don't know. We'll see.
It's like they wanted the full 2 months to work on the mode, but they're trying to still work on it while it's up, like in the background. Let's put these cards here, sort of make them inactive. However, tinfoil hat, you can discover them.
Well, and with Rooney too, like you don't even discover it, it just plays it. And it wasn't doing that 2 months ago, right? But it did this month. So tinfoil hat engage.
Interesting. Well, for those joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. Let me briefly explain how this show works. We record this podcast live every Friday evening, usually, at twitch.tv, Born to Be Wild HS, and the video version of this podcast is then posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all podcast apps. However you are watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today, thank you. Yes, you.
Yeah, totally my fault this week that we did not record at the normal time, and that is because I was sick. FYI. No fun.
It happens.
But before we get into the main topic of the show, we would like to say a quick thank you to Shokunin and the other patrons of our show. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoy this content, please like, comment, and subscribe on this video on YouTube. Another simple way to support the show is to leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or your podcast platform of choice. If you're watching live on Twitch, we've got some awesome emotes that you can unlock by subscribing to the channel. This, of course, is free if you use your Amazon Prime. There are also emotes that you can unlock completely for free just for following. We've also got some kickin' rad Born to Be Wild merch. There's a link to the shop from our main website. I'm not going to say the whole thing verbally again because it's a mouthful, but our website is borntobewildhs.com. Finally, if you'd like to support the show financially, you can join our Patreon for as little as $1 per month. If you'd like to interact with us personally, you can, of course, join our Discord server. Discord, of course, is a free and amazing online community of friends from all around the world. And ours, we like to talk about Wild Hearthstone. And it is legitimately all around the world. We're recording this on New Year's Eve, and Stazari, who's in Australia, is a time traveler. Again, in Australia. And it's already been New Year's there. So we got to like say Happy New Year's to Stazari, even though it's not quite New Year's here yet. Time travel. Links to all of these things and more can be found on our website, which is, of course, borntobewildhs.com.
Welcome to the news. The news is so good.
Well, speaking of Stazari, we wanted to thank you, Stazari, for pointing out that on the World of Warcraft 2024 roadmap, there is a stop on it in the winter that states Hearthstone Anniversary Event. So that would be 10 years of Hearthstone officially being launched out of beta in 2014. 10 years since. What do we think?
I mean, obviously this is like an event within WoW, so it's not, the anniversary that we're going to be getting, but the fact that it's spanning multiple Blizzard franchises is just really cool. I absolutely love seeing that, and seeing that close tie to WoW kind of reinvigorated. We no longer have Heroes of Warcraft on the like subtitle for Hearthstone, so seeing that kind of brought back into WoW itself, I just think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Obviously, if this was on the Hearthstone roadmap, it would be more of a Hearthstone event, but it's on the WoW roadmap. So maybe they'll be doing something really cool inside WoW, where you can go and actually play Hearthstone at a table in the tavern, and
that would be so cool. I would be really surprised if we don't get something huge in Hearthstone too, but they just haven't, made the announcement of the announcement like they did in the WoW 2024 roadmap.
Oh, maybe that's why they wanted 2 months off of Twist, so they could work on whatever this 10-year anniversary was. Like reallocate resources to working on something much bigger.
Switching tinfoil hats.
Yep. You know what I mean, right? and then us in the community are like, no, give us our mode back. And they're like, but we're making something so much cooler right now.
Soon.
Never satisfied we will be.
Well, another thing worth celebrating, maybe not quite as much as the 10-year anniversary of Hearthstone, but maybe, is that Bobby K has finally left Activision Blizzard Entertainment on Friday, December 29th. So goodbye, Bobo. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Oh, see you never.
Yep. I had a hard time getting through his resignation letter. My opinion, just from the stuff, that we've heard over the years of how that organization was run and things not being like HR not necessarily doing what they need to do and bad things were happening and like all that stuff. And this was all the company that he was running. So he could have done stuff and he didn't do the stuff for a very long time. So when I was reading the resignation letter, my eyes kept rolling.
Well, and especially with him, because he was always putting just massive profits over the stability of any of the games. Like, obviously, Blizzard is a company. They're supposed to be seeking profits, but like they've had record profits pretty much every single year, not laying off tons of people in order to like get that extra tiny little bit. When they already were making record profits, and it just, the total business, like, I find it to be like shadiness more than anything else. It's just like resume padding in order just to resume pad. I don't like it. Especially because it affects so many people, first and foremost, negatively. But then also, let's be real, like, as players of these games, it affects the stability of the games too. I mean, I want Hearthstone to be stable. I want Hearthstone to be like moving forward and to be well staffed and to like them to be able to do things like Twist and to be able to make all of these things. But whenever people are just cut willy-nilly, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go on a rant against like Bobby K and those business practices, but like, bye, Felicia.
Yeah, we saw so many people post on Twitter about getting let go that they had no idea that it was happening. They thought everything was going fine, just really blindsided. I mean, there could be more to it that we don't know, but in general, it looked pretty bad.
There's a lot of smoke, and where there's smoke, there's usually fire.
Yeah.
Also pretty fire was that like the Hearthstone initiated community voting for some of the neutral minions that we're getting in next year's core set. So letting the community have those votes and to weigh in, to affect things that are going to happen in game, I think is fantastic, even though not all of my favorites won. I play Standard too, so this is actually going to be impactful for me as well. So the community voted for Snowflipper Penguin. I wanted Desk Imp, but you can't always get what you want. Boulder Fist Ogre, Stonehill Defender, and Evasive Worm. Those are going to be in next year's core set.
I can't remember what I voted for on the last one, but I know I picked Boulder Fist Ogre and Stonehill Defender for sure. I love the out of my jungle.
Yeah, I voted for the Circus Amalgam for the taunt one, mostly just because it has tribal synergies with everything. I think that's great, but like I'm not bummed about Stonehill Defender. I just had to get out of this jungle.
I think your reasons were more sound than mine. It's like, oh, this has a lot of synergy with stuff. I'm like, I like the sound bite.
Well, and we play Wild primarily, right? Like, let's be real. I'm glad that people are getting these access to these, but like we already could play them in our format. So
Yeah. It was fun to participate in, and it was sort of neat the way Blizzard did it is they put it on different platforms for you to vote on. I know that there was a Twitter one, there was Reddit, there was Discord, and one other place. I can't remember the last one.
I'm not sure where the first one was. I can't recall because I found out about it for the second one.
That exact same thing happened to me. I'm like, what? I missed it. I think it might have actually been Twitter, and it was really short because it said that it was posted 11 hours ago or something, and it was already over.
Yeah, it could have been Twitter twice.
A lot of the times I miss things that Hearthstone is doing on Twitter. Like, you know when they would randomly give people stuff if you responded to their post? Well, they would post that for me at like 7 or 8 in the morning, but I'm at work all day and I don't have time to be scrolling through Twitter. And I remember Nate got something one time for responding.
Yeah, but he made like a Photoshop too. It was like if you Photoshop X, Y, or Z onto whatever. His Photoshops are always phenomenal, but he may have won something else just in general. But that's the one that I remember because that was the coolest one.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was cool. It was a sunken city thing. Yeah. You had to put someone inside the like scuba diver's helmet. I remember. Well, we should try to find that. We can show it on a future show because I remember it was pretty good.
And perhaps it'll make the thumbnail of this one. Only time will tell.
Only time will tell. But yeah, so I miss those quite often. So yeah, same as you. I saw it at the end of the day. It was too late for me to participate, but then. One of them was in the Hearthstone Discord, and then I realized I wasn't in the Hearthstone Discord.
Whoa.
Like, actively not in the like main Discord for the whole game that the like devs run. I was like, I didn't somehow didn't know that was a thing. I'm in the Rumble one. I thought that was really cool that there was one for Rumble. Somehow that has gone over my head. I active mostly. I used to be in so many Discords. I still am, but I'm mostly active in the Born to Be Wild one. It's too many to stay on top of.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's not too many is how many regions Blizzard is in, and hopefully that'll be back soon. So Blizzard Entertainment, there was this thing by the Global Times, article by the Global Times that came out on the 26th of December, saying that Blizzard Entertainment may re-engage with NetEase as the 1-year suspension draws to an end, which just so happens to coincide with Bobby Kotick's resignation. I wonder why. The person who burned that bridge leaving and them Blizzard joining Microsoft, all of a sudden there's a potential outside. Who'd have thunk? So
strange,
right? So this is still, not confirmed. It's still a may re-engage. It's still in the rumor mill more than the news mill, but it's definitely pointing towards good things coming back into Blizzard and back into Hearthstone, and hopefully they're able to actually get like the people who had accounts there. Hopefully they kept like their accounts because
maybe they just exist still. I mean, there'd be a lot to clear out. I don't know if that would be like a select all delete sort of thing on their part. But tinfoil hat, maybe this is why they made ketchup packs.
Ha! Or maybe just two great tastes that taste great together. Just like ketchup and mayonnaise.
Yeah, well, if it happens, cool. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that would appreciate it. So,
absolutely. Well,
here's hoping.
what I appreciate is the end of year update on unauthorized bots, because holy guacamole. So Gnome Sand, community manager, posted on the forums. That's where they're most active. They said, as the year winds down, we wanted to give you another update on our increased actions against unauthorized bots this year. Since our last update in October, this is on December 21st, by the way. Since our last update in October, we've banned an additional 114,237 accounts for botting. Wow.
Additional.
That's just since October.
Because in October they were already at like 67,000 or something.
Yeah, 67,000-ish. And that October one was October 10th. So just barely over 2 months did it take them to do an additional over 100,000 bots bans. So as you can see from those numbers, we've been ramping up our efforts throughout the year. We will be continuing the fight into the new year, and we have some plans for next year that we think will address the problem at a more systemic level. Excellent. As a reminder, you can continue to help by reporting suspected bots by using the in-game reporting tool. Thanks and happy holidays, and we'll see you next year in the tavern. I think I missed a sentence earlier on that after that 114,000 in between October and December, they've now banned over 284,000 total accounts for botting throughout the year.
I knew there were bots. I did not know that there was at least 284,000 bots. That's a lot of bots.
Wow, that's wild. Well, and the fact that they got over 100,000 of them just in between October and December, like they said, they've been ramping up that bot ban bonanza throughout the year. So we really appreciate it and really love seeing that go into effect even harder then. Neat. Yeah. So it is now, like we said, it is New Year's Eve. So as is tradition here in Born to be Wild, we like to do kind of a little year in review. How was our year? And make some resolutions for the upcoming year. I had a pretty wild year, both in Hearthstone and outside of it. So I'm gonna talk about Hearthstone first, because that's, this is a Hearthstone podcast, but then of course I'm a person, so I'm going to talk about the other stuff too. So
I thought you were a sheep.
Shh. Porque no los dos. So I feel like I had a lot of both personal achievements and achievements with the podcast. And I'm going to start out with the podcast achievement, because Born to be Wild joined the Hearthstone content creator program this year. And that's just a huge validation and just feels fantastic, having that recognition and that support by Team 5. So I think that's a huge accomplishment for the podcast as a whole. Now shifting over, to my individual ones. In Hearthstone, I finally got a 12-win Heroic Brawlesium. This one I actually chased because there was a skin associated with it, and I'm a completionist for those things. If they didn't have that, I don't know if I would have grinded it as hard. But now I feel again, that achievement is unlocked. Feels great to have kind of checked that box. It's more than just a box, but you know what I mean. It's oh, cool. I'm decent at this game when I try.
I did the thing. Woohoo!
So further validation of being decent at this game when I try is that I hit rank 2 in the new game mode of Twist. I did not end the season there. Don't get me wrong, but hitting rank 2 just feels fantastic.
And that's to legend, not rank 2.
Right. Yes.
Number 2 legend.
Yeah, not Diamond 2, rank 2 overall, which is just mind-boggling to me even now that I did that thing. And I did it with my own deck, which this has been a New Year's resolution of mine for a while. is to improve as a deck builder in general. And whenever I did hit that rank 2 in Twist, my deck got picked up and got a lot of acknowledgement and became like straight up the meta deck, which I never, improving my deck building, getting some recognition. Like I thought, that was kind of my in general goal, but I never thought that it would be like that recognition would be it being one of the meta decks. So that just beyond my wildest dreams there.
That's validation for sure. It's like people see that big legend symbol in the post, right? And obviously people are going to flock to it, but that doesn't, it could be bait, right?
It could be. I posted a fair bait in Mountain Bait in my time.
But it turns out it's pretty good.
Yeah, it was. And like I said, since I hit legend with it again this month, it still is, which is just bonkers to me too, with the changing format there. All to say, that's another big achievement. And the final big achievement within Hearthstone for me, I know that I got the Crimson Psy portrait, but I also hit 1,000 Death Knight wins and got that 1,000 Death Knight win hero portrait. So that's another one of those just like achievement unlocked, did the thing. I said final, but also I had been guesting a fair amount on our friend podcast, Squelch, and a few months ago, Dano asked me to be an official co-host there as well. So I'm now a co-host of a couple Hearthstone podcasts. For Squelch, we kind of rotate who's like there. So I'm not there every single week, but like I'll be there again this week and that kind of stuff. So it's yay, friends.
That's super cool. Very proud of you for that. Obviously, you gave a good impression while you were on there. So, yeah, we like you here. They like you there. What's not to like?
Oh, shucks, friend. So outside of Hearthstone was a lot going on as well. And it kind of started off a little scary. So, I was off of the podcast for a little bit towards the end of last year and beginning of this year, because, my son was born, but he was born, very early. He wasn't due until January 31st. So we were in the NICU for a while. So while I can't say, oh, my son was born this year, I can say that we brought him home this year.
He was supposed to be born this year.
He was. So he by far is the biggest thing to happen to me ever, as well he should be. And I'm just so glad that he and my wife made it through okay, because that was not certain for quite a bit. I don't want to get too real here, but there was a little bit for about 48 hours where I wasn't sure if I was going to come home with either one of them. And the fact that I did, the fact that they're both home safe, and well, I mean, they both had the same bug that I did, which is why we didn't record on Friday. But, for all intents and purposes, or as Ricky would say, intensive purposes, got them both home safe, got them both home well, is just huge.
That is.
I also moved to a new house and got a new job, the place I already worked at, but got a new job and made progress on my master's degree. Like, looking at it all this happened this year. Like, no wonder this year's felt long, because so much happened in it.
Yeah. When you were in the hospital with your family there, and you let us know, texting us, and like, I was instantly anxious for you, and I wasn't even there, right? So it instantly gave me, because it gave me flashbacks for 14 years ago when my son was in intensive care, and it was just, I know what it's like, and I was like, no, I don't want my friend to go through that. But you did, and you made it, and so did everybody else. And so I just very, very excited and happy for you and your family.
Thank you so much, friend. And I know you've had a pretty wild year yourself. So Hydra, how's your year been?
It's been pretty good, to be honest. So one of the things that I don't normally do is the race to legend at the beginning. I quite often get lazy and do it at the end of the month. Or see like what the meta's at and, you know, pick something like net deck something or like whatever, right? But this time around, I wanted to see if I could do the day one legend thing. And I quote unquote did it because it was like at midnight, maybe 2 seconds after. I remember seeing the clock tick over to 12:01.
Oh, that counts. That totally counts.
I get to see it counts because by the time I messaged you guys on Discord, it was like 12:02, 12:03 or something. With the screenshot. But so I got my highest rank in legend ever by doing that, and that was rank 15 legend, which I got, and that was super exciting. Get the screenshot, you know, the bragging rights, and just like you, I did not, I didn't hold it. I think I finished like 500 or 600 or something like that, but still it was something I had not done before, and it felt pretty good. Even actually, because I was just trying to get in day one, I didn't think about what the rank would be. So just the fact that I got in like just as it turned midnight, I was like, yeah, and then I'm like 15. I was like, don't screw up the screenshot. Don't screw up this. Because actually, I think I missed the original when it popped up, and I had to take it from afterwards when you go back into the when you select your mode. Mm-hmm. That's where I had to take it from. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I missed it. Well, I pushed the wrong button.
Oh my god, that's like on my 2 screenshot. I was playing on mobile, so you can't see my name at all.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I doubt you would fake it.
No. And I have, you know, the one with my like user stuff next to it and stuff
yeah.
too, but
yeah, that's also why I took that one, is so you can open your friends list and it can show your name.
Exactly.
And then your rank. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. That's probably the biggest thing I did within Hearthstone. I didn't count. I'm gonna get into this more. I didn't count how many times I hit legend within the year. I had on months and I had off months. Mm-hmm. But that is something I would like to do more of, is actually recording my stats, because some other people, I'm looking at all the stats they record. I know that you've got a spreadsheet, and Nate has a spreadsheet, and some of the people in Discord have spreadsheets for all these, like what classes they hit legend with and what months and all this stuff. And like, if you ask me, I don't know the answers to it because I didn't record it. But what I did do is I had started recording at the end of last year. I made a spreadsheet for all the books that I had been reading. Ooh. And that one was neat because I was never a big reader. I absolutely hated reading books my entire life until a couple of years ago. And so on my spreadsheet, and this may not be, I don't know if this is impressive or not, but to me it is, I read 31 books in 2023, and most of these books are really big books because Stephen King writes long.
Doesn't he though? Honestly, regardless of how that stacks up with other people, the fact that that is great for you and you're making progress, A, I think it's impressive. B, the fact that you're making progress is definitely worth celebrating. But also, and that's more than I read this year.
The previous year, because I did start the spreadsheet last year, I had read about 17. That stat could be off by 1 or 2, but because I had to guess on some of the dates by going back and trying to find. I keep receipts for books I buy, whether it's physical or from Audible, so I can see when I purchased it, and I could sort of guess on as to when I finished it based on when I bought the book. So yeah, 2022 might be a little off with that 17, but I almost doubled the amount that I read.
Yeah.
So speaking of reading, at this point, I'm only missing 6 physical copies of Stephen King novels.
Wow.
And
is that specifically in hardcover as well?
so I have 58 of them are hardcover.
Okay.
And so my shelf is bursting at the seams at this point. So yes, I collected, and I only started this obsession with collecting the hardcover books, like, I don't know, in March or April.
Wow.
And I managed to find 58 of Stephen King hardcover books. I do have more than that, but they're not in hardcover. Certain ones I haven't found yet that are harder to get, like Carrie, I don't have in hardcover because that's his first one and it's really difficult to find. Some others I just haven't come across, and I refuse to spend like the retail price on them. I don't want to do that because I find them at used stores in very good condition. So if I see them on Amazon for $40, I don't want to, like, there's no point when I can find it for $10 somewhere else. So
That said, when you're going down the stretch and you're like only lacking Carrie, no shade if you decide to just pull the lever on Amazon for that one.
Unfortunately, those old ones, like, it's only the ones in the last like 10 years that you can still get from those publishers, like the Bill Hodges trilogy, Mr. Mercedes, all that. Like, you can get that stuff. You can get some of the Dark Tower books, but anything that's older than 10 years, it's all going to be used stuff. So I just have not seen a used copy of Carrie yet. That's in hardcover. Just haven't. Even the paperback is not a common one to find. I have it, but and I trust me. On my way home from work, I stop off at multiple used and thrift stores, and I check the same shelves like every day. You'd be surprised how much the stock actually rotates. So if I drive past it, I'm like, dang it. I like kicking myself because I didn't get to go there that one day because you miss it. Who knows? I probably have missed some at this point. But what else did I do? Oh, one thing that was huge for me was I got a lot healthier in this last year. My wife and I had changed our diets. We started eating a lot of like fish and greens and like chicken, and not as much as all the junk that I was eating before. And I had started the year before, but I lost 30 pounds roughly across the year. Is that a giant bag of M&Ms?
One of two within reach.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
in the last couple months, I found that, so when there's food at work, like people bring in cheesecake all the time and all these pastries and stuff. So this last year, I've been avoiding it. But since I hit my weight goal, I'm eating it again. And but I'm going to make sure that doesn't get out of control, because it was I'm not super old. I'm 37 or 38. What year is it? 37.
Technically
turning
still
38
2023,
soon.
but just barely.
It's way harder to lose the weight than it used to be. Like I took it for granted when I was younger of how easy it was. I could just like run for a month, then lose whatever weight I wanted to, do some sit-ups, right? It's not the case. So I want to make sure that doesn't get out of control. But part of that journey was one thing that I really appreciated that my wife and I started doing was going on our hikes. So we started using the All Trails app, and we did 10 different hikes in the lower mainland here of the Vancouver area. And that's just doing those ones at least once. Some of them we did like 12 times because we're close to home, right? But we crossed 10 different ones off the list. And I really appreciate the app because it tracks your GPS. So you can't just say you did the hike. Like you have stats. Tells you your elevation and how long it took compared to other people. And that's a little depressing in the beginning. But it got us out of the house a lot more, and it was like a good bonding experience for us when it's just you two in the woods, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it was really good. So then it turned to the rainy season, and we didn't do it as much. So planning on doing more of that next year. But speaking of next year, what do you got for some goals? Well, some resolutions for the next year, Sheep?
I do have some resolutions for this next year, and within Hearthstone, I'm kind of keeping it a little bit more low key. Continue hitting Legend every season in Standard and Wild, and Twist when it returns. I did that thing this past year. It wasn't always super easy. Sometimes it was. Just kind of depended on the meta and all that good stuff. But continue hitting Legend and continue improving with my deck building, especially if Twist starts living up to my expectations. So, keep on trucking, essentially.
Nice.
Outside of Hearthstone, I want to spend more time with my family and work towards completing my master's degree. Those two things are often at odds because I have to spend a lot of my time outside of like work and Hearthstone on my phone or PC doing the master's program, but trying to find that balance is going to be tough, but that's my New Year's resolution outside of Hearthstone. Hydra, nice. I know that you are a very resolved fella. What are your resolutions for 2024?
Well, one of them that I'm going to do is also at odds with something else, and I did forget to mention that one of the biggest things I did was I made a career move. From changing departments and getting promoted. So I was in quality and I was studying to get my quality engineering degree. And that was a very difficult choice when a management position opened up. Mm-hmm. And so what do I do? Can I do both? Or is management going to be too difficult and I can't do schooling at the same time? Like, how are they going to be at odds, that kind of thing? So I had to decide what I was going to do, and I said, you know what, you won't know till you try. So I had applied for the position, and I totally got it. And when I got the offer, because I was still thinking about it even after I applied, right? Like, I can turn it down at this point when I see what the offer is and all that. But as soon as I got the offer, I was YOLO. I just said yes.
Good.
And I was like, you don't know till you try. So I did that. There was a lot of learning to do. And so I definitely didn't have time for any schooling once I've taken on this position. But one thing I would like to do is, once I am more comfortable in my role, is be able to get back on that. At least get back on and make sure I can have a regular study routine so that that doesn't just go away. Because I had a lot of people at work, mentors, sort of people that encourage me, like, don't let this stop you from doing your schooling. Yeah. If anything, if you get all this management experience and you're still doing your schooling, then you could transition into quality management in the future, right? So you could do the best of both worlds. You could be manager and you could be a quality engineer, and then that sounds good to me. So, but right now everything is already good. So those are just future goals. I like to continue progressing. And so that's it for me for work. But I talked about reading books. I hit 31. I would like to read more than that this year. I don't know if I can finish every single Stephen King in this next year, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try really hard. So I'm going to make it my goal to read as many of his this year. But I've been weaving in, like, I don't just read a Stephen King book back to back, right? I weave in the Red Rising series. I read a lot of just random things that are free on Audible or a book I found at the thrift store. So I do weave those things in. I started reading the Sherlock Holmes books.
Like, they're really good.
So yeah, it's possible to maybe get through them, but I don't like just reading only one author, as I tend to do. So weaving in the other stuff is definitely another thing. I want to do more hiking, like I said, with my wife. We have to make sure that we get back on that horse, and we're doing a lot of that. And so I mentioned earlier about I don't have a lot of stats on stuff. So I've got my books, right? I got the spreadsheet for that. I've got the app for all trails, but I would like a spreadsheet or something about that. And then for Hearthstone, I would like to start a spreadsheet. I wish I did this like years before, so I could look at, hit legend with this deck for the first time, that class for the first time, all this stuff. I don't have that history. I've got screenshots of numbers, like just the golden orange, gem there, but that's it. And so I don't really have that to look back on, and that kind of stinks. So I would like to do more record keeping in general. And one thing I'm going to record is all of my duels matches that I have to play. I think I talked about this last year when I said that I had at least 9 duels tickets, because that's, I think, the most it would show you. Kind of like when you have 9 cards, it says you have 9 plus cards, that sort of thing. But now I can see how many, and it popped up that I had 28 tickets for duels. And I'm like, hold on a second. That's a lot of cards in general, right? It's packs, it's dust, it's gold, all the rewards that you can get for that. Even if I get one win on all 28 of those runs, that's still at least 28 packs.
Right? Yeah.
But I'd like to save them for the next expansion, right? Because at this point, they give current expansion packs out, and I don't need those. So I kind of have to pump the brakes and not play too much till the next expansion comes out. I don't know if... Go ahead.
What I really like to do with duels runs, and unfortunately it does give you the current packs, but I like to do my duels runs towards the end of an expansion cycle whenever the new cards are announced and in the game, because you can pick them in buckets. You can't put them into your, starting deck, but you can pick them up as it goes. So that's where I like to use my duels runs. And I still have quite a few of those golden tickets too, for kind of the exact same reason that you do. I don't play duels a ton, but whenever I do, it's typically down the stretch, unless I'm like actively looking for gold to finish my Caverns of Time signatures, which I cash in a few duels runs to get gold for those, for example. But in general, that's where I like to use mine, because then you get to play with the new cards before they're properly in the game. That's just my personal, what I like to do. If you're min-maxing collection though, then waiting until the new expansion is definitely the way to go for that.
I think it'd be cool is if as soon as they announced it, you could choose which pack you want.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Current expansion or next expansion, and they put it as in the little gift wrap with the ribbon on it, sort of thing, and it just fills that up. I'd like that. I don't know if the UI allows them to do that, but I like it. I mean, you get Discover in game all the time where you have to choose between options. It'd be cool if you could choose between which card pack you won. But yeah, so that goes under the data collection thing. I want to keep a lot of data so I can see what I have accomplished in the year. So we had some community New Year's resolutions that we were going to highlight. Sheep, what do we have?
Yeah, so I'm going to start with Anchorman's because they did a year in review on top of kind of New Year's resolutions going forward as well. So Anchorman says that 2023 has been quite a successful year for their Hearthstone progression. They started out with the goal of reaching Wild Legend with Shaman, as well as reaching 500 Shaman and 1,000 Warlock wins. They achieved both of these resolutions as early as May.
Whoa.
Check that box wicked early.
Yeah.
Other memorable achievements for Anchorman include, in no particular order, reaching Wild Legend with every class. I haven't quite done that yet. It's on my list, but not a New Year's resolution list. Getting Triple Legend, Classic, Wild, and Standard. Reaching their highest ever rank to this day, 339 in Wild. That's
Nice.
a pretty high one. Reaching Wild Legend every month for the whole year. Finally getting that 1,000 wins portrait for Rogue, which is really meaningful for them because Pirate Rogue is the deck that they have achieved the most legend climbs with so far. And like you said, Anchorman had a few spreadsheets, including tracking spending, which I'm not going to put on the screen. But if you're interested in seeing that particular one, the Discord is right there as well as the number of wins that they have for different classes, what they hit legend with. They do theirs by the season instead of by the month, which makes a lot of sense for like sorting. I did mine by the month and year. Personal preference. Honestly, I think that I like theirs better, but I'd have to go back and fix all of mine. So I'm too far down that road.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So absolutely a fantastic year for Anchorman this year, who also has some resolutions for 2024. Anchorman wants to push Demon Hunter, Paladin, and Priest over the 1,000 wins threshold and might try to improve their best rank. They're also omega hyped for Hearthstone's 10th anniversary and hoping for some amazing birthday stuff the devs might be cooking up for us. So
Those
thank
are
you.
some cool goals.
Yeah, and thank you so much for the level of detail in both your year in review and your New Year's resolutions, Anchorman. Like that was really cool to see. We had a lot of some Hearthstone, some not, resolutions in the Discord as well. So Raxius Gaming's New Year's resolution is to sound more like a girl and grow their hair out enough to pass as a girl's hair as well, which is awesome. Goliath the Dwarf, you may know him. His resolution is to be more proactive in 3 areas of his life: travel, finding new experiences, relationships, and evolving his career into a new line of work, which is awesome. Azalea Akari, you may recognize their voice as well. Their resolution is to complete 3 Nuzlocke runs for various mainline Pokemon games. Do you know what a Nuzlocke run is, Hydra?
Not gonna lie, I stopped speaking because I wanted you to read that word.
Excellent. So a Nuzlocke run is a run in Pokemon where some have slightly different rules, but the gist is this. For each route, you can only catch 1 Pokemon. The typical thing is you can only catch the first Pokemon that you run into. And if they run or you accidentally make it faint, you just don't get a Pokemon for that run. If a Pokemon faints, it's dead. You can't play with it anymore. So it's a much more it has a fail state. If all of your Pokemon faint, you have no Pokemon to play with. Your run is over. So it's another kind of challenge that people add to Pokemon to play. I did one of Diamond or Pearl, in 2011. It's been a while. And that was a blast. I did make one exception to my rule, and that is I ran into a shiny Shinx, and I had already caught a Shinx, but I replaced it with the shiny one that I caught because that was the first shiny I ever ran into, which is pretty cool. So,
Oh, Shinx.
Shinx remains one of my all-time favorite Pokemon, by the way. Over Marie.
How many Pokemon are there now?
I would say 586 as my like go-to number, but like there are legitimately more than that. I don't know what the overall number is, but there are a lot.
My experience, other than my son collecting cards, ended at Pokemon Red, where there was like the 151 Pokemon. And that's the only Pokemon game I ever played. So I know, obviously, since then, it has only grown in popularity as there's, I don't know, a dozen more games than that now, at least.
Yeah, there are a lot. I don't keep up with Pokemon like super big, but I always enjoy playing it whenever I do play it. So I'm definitely a casual Pokemon fan now. Filthy casual. Kaialai's aim is to look into body hair stuff and continuing with the hair. Labore Sangre, you may recognize his voice as well, really wants to learn a martial art. I think that's a really cool goal for 2024 as well. Charlie Dog has 16,000 total wins, and of those, less than 200 combined are Demon Hunter and Death Knight. So their resolution for 2024 is to level their Demon Hunter to level 60.
I feel you, Charlie Dog. I've got that problem going with Druid. I've been playing this game for almost...
tentatively and look at me whenever you say that.
Where I have only like 200 wins with Druid, and I've been playing the game for... I'm going into year 9 at this point of me playing the game. Oops. Sorry, sheep.
There are worse things. There are much worse things. If you do want to grow that number, then let me know. But otherwise, I'm not here to shame anyone for what decks they like to and dislike to play. And finally, Direst Bear resolves to get better at duels and arena and get all achievement categories above 90%. Game modes is stubbornly at 85% for them. And some tournament-related goals that is what they had this past year. But, they had some tournament-related goals this past year. That was kind of their New Year's resolution. But whenever qualifiers pivoted away from the qualifying tournaments and to ladder grinding, they abandoned those. And I don't blame them. Grinding ladder is... it's a grind. It's a chore. It's a lot.
That's
of
why
hours.
They got rid of it in the first place, right? For being able to get on in the world tour or whatever by hitting top legend points, and people were staying up to all hours, trying to hold their ranks to midnight on the last day of each season, and then suddenly you drop 50 ranks because somebody bumps you out of your spot. It's just stressful.
It became such a metagame too, because if it was coming up to the very end of the the night and you were losing that game, you could drag it on and see if you could make it last past midnight. It was
you just rope every turn.
Yeah.
Purposely don't win. Make the game go longer.
So they went back to that this past year, and I don't blame Direst Bear from going away from that, because ladder grinding, if you can't tell by my eclectic choices and decks, is not something that I pursue.
No.
So
I like seeing the big number, but I don't want to chase the big number.
Right. Yeah. I have grinded a little bit in Twist since hitting Legend, but it's really just, I want to play a game. Twist is fun. I've hit Legend all the formats. I'll do that. Rather than proper ladder grinding. I can't imagine trying to do that kind of thing with a specific goal, which has a very finite cutoff. And then if you don't get it, despite your hours and hours of lack of sleep and dedication to it, just missing it, I can't imagine how that would feel. So that's one of the reasons why I don't do it.
Props to people that can, though.
Absolutely. It's huge for those who can and do that thing.
So those were all the submissions that we got. I'm sure that a lot of other listeners out there have goals in Hearthstone for this upcoming year, and feel free to share those in the Discord as well if you want to get those out there. But we wish everybody the best in hitting their goals inside Hearthstone, outside of Hearthstone, whether it's personal or professional. We hope y'all get there.
Absolutely. So for more wild content or to see where you can find us individually, feel free to visit us online at borntobewildhs.com.
Wiser words have never been spoken. And you heard that?
Born to be wild.
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 I forgot to say the word on.